It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Bet smarter with daily advice from America's leading handicapper, Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports on the Locked On Bets podcast. Follow Locked On Bets today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. So great to have you with us here on this Thursday. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Rock Auto. Check out rockauto.com for full details. On today's show, it is a Duke in the NBA day here on the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. Let's give you an update on some of the top stars in the National Basketball Association that formerly played for head coach Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke Blue Devils. And I'll give you my power rankings, my updated power rankings for Duke basketball players in the National Basketball Association currently in this 2020-2021 season. That's coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. As always, follow us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils. That's where you could find the show and more details about the show, but be sure to follow Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever you get your podcasts. You'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it comes out each and every day. My name is JJ Jackson. I'm the host of this podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. Let's get into the fun for today. First couple of guys to update you on how things are going in the National Basketball Association. Let's start with a 2015 NCAA champion for the Duke Blue Devils. We actually talked about him a little bit earlier this week for his championship-saving performance in the 2015 title game against the Wisconsin Badgers. Yes, I'm talking about Grayson Allen, who went on to play a full 4-year career for Coach K and Duke. He is in his third NBA season. He's playing with the Memphis Grizzlies, was drafted by the Utah Jazz before playing the past 2 seasons with the Grizzlies following a trade. And last night, it's funny we're doing this today. Last night, Grayson Allen had his best game of the season, a season-high 30 points in the win over the Atlanta Hawks. His teammates for the Memphis Grizzlies are pretty familiar to that 2015 team as well. Both Justice Winslow and Tyus Jones are on the Grizzlies with Grayson Allen. 3 of those guys obviously played on that 2015 NCAA championship team, and it was a 4-member freshman class that year. The only guy they're missing is Jahlil Okafor, who currently plays for the Detroit Pistons. So if we could get Okafor to the Grizzlies, then all of a sudden that 2015 freshman class for Duke that won the national title would all be on the same team. Again, Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow, all with the Grizzlies. But Grayson Allen's been really impressive this year. He's been starting a ton of games down the stretch for Memphis this season. He's appeared in 36 games this year, was hurt a little bit, but 36 games on the year with 24 starts. He is a 40% three-point shooter and 90% from the free throw line. Grayson Allen is turning into a shooter. We knew that at Duke, but we also saw the athleticism that he had, and at Duke he had a little bit more liberty to put the ball on the deck and attack the rim. Last night in that game against Atlanta, when Grayson Allen again had a season-high 30 points, a number of times he was taking the ball all the way to the rim, finishing through contact, had a couple of and ones, was really firing his team up, his bench up. Of course, we know with Memphis, their exciting player is second-year guard Ja Morant out of Murray State, who was AAU teammates growing up with Zion Williamson, a former Dookie himself. But Ja Morant and Grayson Allen have been your starting backcourt for Memphis over the past few games, and I think it's a good run there. I think these two are playing really well together. 3 3-pointers last night for Grayson of his 30 points and knocking down 7 shots from the free throw line. So he had 7 2-point field goals. Did a good job of attacking the rim in last night's win as well. So Grayson Allen doing really good. Third NBA season, averaging 11 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 40% from 3, 90% free throw shooter. How about a former teammate of Grayson Allen? How about Marvin Bagley III? MB3 is 22 years old in his third NBA season as well. So they played college basketball together, did Grayson Allen and Marvin Bagley. It was Grayson's senior year. It was Marvin's freshman year. Marvin was ready to go after his freshman season, a top 5 pick into the NBA draft for the Sacramento Kings. Marvin has played in 37 games this year. He has started all of those games, 13.9 points per game this season, 8 rebounds per game. He's a 35% three-point shooter. That number is continuing to prove throughout his career, but he's just 56% from the free throw line. So Bagley needs to focus a little bit more there at the charity stripe. In years past, his first 2 seasons, he was around 65-70%, and he's fallen all the way down to 56% shooting from the free throw line. He's getting a good run, 26 minutes per game. Obviously, your big guys aren't going to play as much, and in a lot of ways, I think people would even want to see the 7.6 rebounds per game number go up and improve for Marvin Bagley III. But he's just got such a quick motor. That team he's got with De'Aaron Fox as his point guard and Tyrese Halliburton this season, they're able to throw a lot of lobs at the rim for Marvin Bagley III to finish. And then with his left-handed jump shot, if he can kind of take it out a little bit, extend his range, which he's been doing, again, 35% from 3 this season, I think that's going to be big for Sacramento as they continue to improve. But 3rd NBA season for Marvin Bagley III. He is currently 22 years old. Next, let's talk a little bit about R.J. Barrett. R.J. coming off a great game last night. 29 points for R.J. in the 2-point loss to the Boston Celtics. Celtics beat R.J.'s New York Knicks 101-99. But again, 29 points in last night's game for RJ, who's playing in his 2nd NBA season. 34 minutes per game. He's played in 52 games, so done a much better job of staying healthy and being active and being readily available than Grace Allen and Marvin Bagley III this season. But RJ has played in 52 games, started all 52 of them, 17.5 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. He is such an improved player. Obviously, we knew that this guy could score the ball in bunches. Efficiency was going to be the biggest question mark for a guy like R.J. Barrett, especially his three-point shot and his stroke at the free throw line. This season, he is shooting 38% at the three-point line, which is so much so improved for a guy like R.J. Barrett. Really impressed with what he's been able to do in just his 2nd season. He's only 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 until June. He and Zion are both so young and being so good and so efficient early in their NBA career. So R.J. Barrett doing an outstanding job. Coming up in just a moment, let's talk about a couple of more Duke in the NBA guys right now, and then still to come, I'll give you my power rankings, the best Duke basketball players in the association a little bit later during today's show. Today's show is brought to you by Rock Auto. RockAuto.com is a family business serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. Go to RockAuto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They have everything you need, from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks. It's delivered directly to your door. The RockAuto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available to your vehicle and choose the brands, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Best of all, prices at RockAuto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Why spend up to twice as much for the same parts? Go to RockAuto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On, L-O-C-K-E-D-O-N, in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. Get all the sports news that you need in under 20 minutes with the Locked On Today podcast. Host Peter Bukowski updates you on the latest news in every major sport with the help of our local experts. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Diving back into today's program, taking a look at some other guys in the NBA for Duke. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, 24 points last night in the win for the Brooklyn Nets over the Pelicans. Kyrie is playing in his 10th NBA season. My, oh my, time is flying by. Already the 10th year for Kyrie. It's his 2nd season with the Brooklyn Nets. He played 6 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers, 2 years with the Boston Celtics, and now his 2nd season with the Brooklyn Nets. He's played in 37 games this year, a little bit of injuries this season for Kyrie. Again, 24 points last night versus the Pelicans, a 7-time All-Star, the 2016 NBA champion with the Cavs. The Nets this season are the best team in the Eastern Conference. They are loaded. It's basically an All-Star team out there for Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving playing alongside Kevin Durant, James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, All those guys are former All-Stars in the league. DeAndre Jordan is a big name that we've known in NBA circles for quite some time. So a really, really good basketball team in Brooklyn. They're the favorites out of the Eastern Conference. This season, Kyrie has been just as good as he always is in the NBA. 28 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game. I've said he's got the best handle in the NBA, and I will always stick by that. I want folks to go back and look at last night's game against New Orleans, and Kyrie had an ISO situation against Pelicans big Steven Adams, and Adams did not know where the basketball was going. I didn't know where the basketball was going and did not know how Kyrie Irving was able to keep the ball on a string like that. It's basically like a yo-yo out there for him, but he looks so good when he does all those crossover moves, and he's got such a sick pull-up. So a really impressive game last night for Kyrie Irving, and he's having a really good year for Brooklyn, and they look poised to make a deep run in the playoffs. How about Jason Tatum? Tatum is 23 years old. Tatum, 25 points and 10 rebounds in the 2-point win last night over the New York Knicks. Tatum has appeared in 46 games this season, a 2-time All-Star. This year and last year were both his All-Star campaigns, so continuing to improve. This season, Tatum has 25 points per game. That's a career high. 7 rebounds per game. That's tied for a career high in a season for him. And 4.3 assists per game. That's also a career high for Jason Tatum. 38% shooting from the three-point line. Really good stuff there from Jason Tatum. Again, in his 4th NBA season, he's going to continue to get better at just 23 years old. It's crazy how good this guy already is. Boston struggling this season, again, playing with the Boston Celtics. Tatum actually got to play his first 2 NBA years with Kyrie Irving also in Boston, so got to see a bit of a brotherhood connection there. But no, Tatum is getting better each and every year. He's doing really well. Big Zion Williamson, 16 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds last night for the Pelicans. Those are pedestrian numbers compared to what he's been doing over the past few weeks. He's had multiple games scoring 34, 36, 37, anywhere like that in terms of points, and he's been doing a really, really outstanding job for New Orleans this season. Just his second year, his first season as an All-Star this year, 26 points per game for Zion, 7 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, 62% shooting from the floor, unreal percentage. Obviously, he does get a lot of layups and dunks. It makes it a whole lot easier, but you just can't stop him when he's going to the rim. 71% from the free throw line. That's a number that I know Zion would like to improve, and also his outside shot, and I do think that'll improve the older he gets. Again, this is also a guy who's just 20 years old. RJ's 20. RJ turns 21 in June. Well, Zion turns 21 in July of this year, but just 20 years old and a dominant player in the NBA. Excellent stuff there from Zion Williamson. So coming up in just a moment, my Duke in the NBA power rankings. I'll break all of that down for you in just a moment here on the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. Today's show was brought to you by our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. It even covers awards, TV shows, and reality television. It's real-time updated odds and props on almost anything that you can imagine. Head to the website or use your mobile device and sign up today. Receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using promo code LOCKEDON. LOCKEDON, promo code LOCKEDON. If you head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline has you covered on all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it is free, 100% free to sign up. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Are you ready for the NFL Draft? We're getting closer to draft day. Join Locked On NFL Draft hosts Trevor Sikkema and Benjamin Solak as they give you their latest positional rankings and analysis on 2021 draft prospects with team-centric guest mocks right around the corner. Follow the Locked On NFL Draft podcast on the radio.com app or wherever you get your podcasts. So let's get into it. Let's do our final segment of today's podcast here on the Locked On Blue Devils show. We've got our Duke in the NBA power rankings, my Duke in the NBA power rankings, and I'll take a look at the 5 best players in the NBA. Right now, I'm going to factor in overall talent and definitely factor in what they mean to their team and their team's success. So I'll do that right now. I'm going to go 1 to 5, best to I guess you would say worse, although it'll be the 5th best player in the NBA for Duke when they've just got tons and tons of NBA talent. That's why it's also fun to kind of keep you updated on the NBA for the Duke Blue Devils, is because there's so many guys out there. But so no, saying the 5th guy today is the worst is not the best phrasing, but I do want to start with the top dog, but work my way down 1 to 5. So first,
number 1.
Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving with the Brooklyn Nets, the best player in the NBA right now, former Duke Blue Devil, a 2016 NBA champion with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he is so special, so important to the Brooklyn Nets and what they do, and working alongside James Harden and Kevin Durant. I think he's going to be poised for another deep postseason and playoff run. I would not be surprised at all if Kyrie wins his second championship this season with Brooklyn. He can just do everything on the basketball court. Hell, even last night's game against the Pelicans, Kyrie had a baseline drive and dunk. It is so rare that you see Kyrie dunk the basketball because his layup package, his finishes at the rim, his crossover, his pull-up jump shot are so good, but he caught somebody sleeping, and he went to the rim, attacked, and dunked, and that was awesome from Kyrie last night. Next.
Number 2.
Zion Williamson. Big time there for Zion, the number 2 player in my Duke in the NBA Power Rankings. In just his second season, and he's already here. He is so good at basketball. It is not fair to be that good and that young. This guy should be finishing his junior season in college, and he's dominating at the NBA level. So many players are praising him for his play, and rightfully so. So many all-time greats are giving Zion some love for what he's been able to do. Zion, so good at basketball, and he's my second best player in the NBA right now for Duke. Excited to see how his career continues to evolve and him take it to the next level. Next.
Number 3.
Jason Tatum with the Boston Celtics. Tatum doing a great job, as we detailed a little bit earlier. Got to give some love to JT here for Boston. His welcome to the NBA moment came early in his career, first or second season. He was playing in the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, so this would have been his first season, actually. Tatum, as a rookie, went to the rim and dunked on LeBron. That's when the NBA world was kind of like, whoa, this kid might be a little bit different. Indeed, he is. Again, as we said a little bit earlier, career highs all across the board for Tatum. 25.7 rebounds, doing excellent stuff for Boston. He and Jaylen Brown make a dominant 1-2 punch and great duo for Boston. They've just got to find a better way to get some wins because they have been reeling as of late. But Jason Tatum, our number 3 player in my Duke in the NBA Power Rankings. Next.
Number 4.
Brandon Ingram. BI, baby. 5th NBA season for Brandon Ingram. Last year's most improved player. It was his first season with the New Orleans Pelicans, as he spent his first 3 years with the Los Angeles Lakers and now 2 seasons with the Pelicans. So it's his 5th year overall in the league. A one-time All-Star last year when he was most improved. He was voted an All-Star. He would have been an All-Star again this year if he hadn't been hurt so much. He's been struggling with injuries a little bit this season, but even still this season, look at these numbers for Ingram. 24 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, just does everything. His arms, his wingspan, he uses to his advantage all the time because he's so quick at getting to the rim and just having his arm extend to the rim for either a dunk or a layup, and you just can't stop it. Ingram's awesome, and he's getting better each and every year, so he is number 4 in my Duke in the NBA countdowns. A lot of people talk about Ingram because he was traded from the Lakers to the Pelicans in the big Anthony Davis trade, and for the Lakers, you love that trade because Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the NBA, and it resulted in a championship last season for LA, but it was a debate between Ingram and Kuzma, both of those guys kind of small forwards, Kyle Kuzma, that is, with the Lakers, and who the Lakers should keep, and Brandon Ingram, a better player than Kyle Kuzma. They're both really good, but Ingram's the better guy in the NBA, so I wonder if the Lakers wish they could have AD and Brandon Ingram together, plus LeBron James, to see what that would look like. All right, to close it out, it's our Duke in the NBA Power Rankings. I'm just giving you the top 5. We've done 4. You know what that means. Next.
Number 5.
Seth Curry. 30 years old in the NBA, playing his 6th legit NBA season. He has struggled a little bit to get to the league as kind of an undersized point guard, shooting guard, whatever you want to call him. I think they wanted him to be more of a point guard like his brother Steph, and he gets compared too much to Steph Curry, his brother, who was the 2-time NBA MVP, a 3-time NBA champion, and Steph Curry. But Seth is just as important in his own right to team success. Steph's three-point percentage numbers are insane. This season is his first season with the 76ers. He's shooting 41% from 3, 12 points per game. Last year with the Dallas Mavericks, Seth Curry was shooting 45% from three-point range. In the career rankings in NBA history, Seth Curry, his entire time in the league, has been 1, 2, or 3. He is that special of a three-point shooter, such a knockdown guy. And you've seen Philadelphia with Doc Rivers in his first season as the head coach. Doc Rivers, crazy enough, is actually Seth Curry's father-in-law, because Seth Curry married Doc's daughter, Callie Rivers. And again, that means Callie is Austin's Austin's sister. Austin is Doc's son, so there's another connection to the brotherhood there in Philadelphia. And so Seth Curry has been really important and critical to Philadelphia's success, in my opinion. Again, these are my power rankings right now as we stand in the 2020-2021 basketball season. Some honorable mentions. Grayson Allen, that we talked about a little bit earlier, has had a good year. Gary Trent Jr. is blowing the league by surprise ever since he was traded from Portland to Toronto. He continues to elevate his game. And then Wendell Carter Jr. deserves some love as well. There's still more guys that I didn't even name that are quality NBA guys. Luke Kennard could deserve some praise and love for what he's done with the Clippers this season and throughout his career. So Duke's taking it to another level in the NBA, and we'll see if we can get a couple of more guys drafted into the league in the upcoming draft on July 29th. But that's going to do it for today's show. We close out the week tomorrow on a Friday edition of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. Chris Edwards, the radio play-by-play voice for Duke baseball and Duke women's basketball, will be our guest on the show tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. You can connect with me on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. Follow the show on Twitter as well at LO_Blue Devils. Be sure to follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Blue Devils as soon as it's available each and every day. Send us any questions that you might have that you want answered on Mailbag Mondays. Every few weeks, we do a Mailbag Monday where the entire podcast is devoted to your mailbag questions. Send those to us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils, or send us an email, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com. We love everything that you guys are doing to help us out here with the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.